Miss Jaya, I think you went on mute, so can you please unmute yourself? Miss Jaya Khanduri, can you please unmute yourself? You are on mute.
Hello, is my voice audible?
Yeah, yes, you are audible.
Okay. Thank you, Mr. Saibal Gupta. And hello, everyone, and welcome to this session. In today's webinar, we are going to discuss about food safety. So food safety, it is not a new concept. It has been there since ancient times. So you can see the reference of food safety in many old civilizations in 375 BC, Chanakya, he was an Indian teacher, philosopher, and economist. He mentioned about the food adulteration in his book named Arthashastra. And in Egyptian civilization also um, uh, you can find the preservation of foods and labeling of products thousands of years ago. And King Nal, he was a king in India, and he was fond of horses and culinary arts, and he wrote his book Pak Darpan on cookery around 1200 years back. So you can see food safety, it is not a new concept. It has been there since ancient times. The only thing is like earlier, what used to happen, cookery and food safety used to go hand in hand. But now food safety has become a different discipline. So ISO 22000 is a food safety management system, and it is all about food safety principles and hygiene principles which should be applied in a food industry. And the all the principles are presented in a organized manner. And the beauty of this standard is this, that this standard is a auditable. You can audit, you can implement ISO 22000 requirements in your organization, and then you can get those requirements audited. And if anything can be audited, means it can be improved. Okay, so by implementing ISO 22000 in your organization, you can be assured, you can make yourself assured, or you can ensure that food safety management is properly implemented in your organization, and you can further improve it. Now, next is regarding the brief history of ISO 22000. So ISO 22000 was first published in 2005 in response to foodborne illnesses such as mad cow's disease and numerous other fraud incidents like adulteration of mustard oil and all. And then globalization of food chain, creating uncertainty so as to the origin of the food products and ingredients. So with the globalization, now people are sourcing food from the different parts of the country. And there was uncertainty about the origin of the food. So now the ISO 22000, it has helped in the tracing the product, because it is a necessary to identify the origin of the ingredients while making the food product. So you need not to identify the origin, country of origin. You need to identify the origin of that product, whether the origin is animal origin is there, or vegetarian origin is there, or chemical origin is there. So next is the food industry's requirements to demonstrate that their operating systems and other systems are according to applicable laws and requirements specified by the Codex Alimentarius. So if you have ISO 22000 in your organization, it means you are complying to the Codex Alimentarius also, because there is one clause number 8.2, which is about the PRPs. So PRPs are as per the Codex hygiene principles. So if you have ISO 22000 in your organization, means you have applied Codex Alimentarius. And next, there was need to harmonize international food safety regulations. So this was the reason why ISO 22000 came into existence, and it was published in 2005, and then it was further revised in 2018. So next, here is the layout of a organization, and you can see how ISO 22000 helps at various levels. So first is planning. So before starting any project, what we do the planning of the project. So ISO 22000 helps in better planning. It's some of the clauses are applicable to this part, like clause number 4, 5, 6, 7. Those are planning. So you are doing, if you have ISO 22000 in your organization, there will be better planning of uh, all the things in your organization. Like you will be thinking about the your issues, you will be thinking about the interested parties, you will thinking about the resources, then you will be doing the planning. So the clause number 4, 5, 6 are taking care of the planning part. Then there will be the better processes. The clause number 8. 8 is about the operation. Operation is about the processes. So when you have ISO 22000 in your organization, you can control hazards in your system through HACCP, PRPs, and OPRPs. So next is there is a better competence. Okay, there is a better documentation, there is a better infrastructure. Like clause number 7 is about all these things. So if you have ISO in your organization, FSMS in your organization, your your infrastructure will be better, your documentation will be properly managed, and you will be taking care of the competence and skills of your employees also. So clause number 5 is all about the better leadership and teamwork. And then performance. So if you have this system in your organization, you will be measuring the performance through management reviews, internal audits. So you can see at each and every level you have application of the ISO 22000 clauses. So if you have this system in your, this management system in your organization, you can think of your products will be safe and they will be as per the customer requirements. So next are, what are the main features of this standard? So before to implement this ISO 22000 in your organization, we need to understand certain aspects like what are the features of this standard. So one is, this is a high, it has high level structure. High level structure means it has 10 clauses which are same as the other standards, other ISO standards. For example, if you take case the ISO 9001 or ISO 14001, environment management system, quality management system, OSAS, so all have these 10 clauses. So when all have high level structure, it is easy to integrate the different standards. Okay, so it means you can implement all these standards in one go. So next is, it has risk-based approach, it has process-based approach, and there is a PDCA cycle, and PDCA cycle is at two levels. So PDCA cycle is plan, do, check, and act. So PDCA cycle is also known as Deming's wheel. So if you have PDCA cycle in your organization, it means you are continuously improving your food safety management system, and you are doing all the things in a better way. You are continuously improving them. So this is the high level structure. There are 10 clauses which are same as that of other ISO management standards. And then it has risk based approach. Now, what is risk-based approach? Risk-based approach means in through ISO 22000, what we are doing the risks and opportunities. Okay, so here we are doing risk and we are conducting the risk analysis at two levels. One is at organizational level and other is at operational level. Okay, so we are determining the risk and opportunities. Then we are planning, making plans to address them, and then we are implementing them and then evaluating their effectiveness. So we will see the how this risk based approach is being used in the coming slides. So you can see here's an example. For example, you can think of what can go wrong in the process. Let's take the process of purchasing. Okay, so you have single source supplier which is wiped out by the tsunami. So what is the impact? Okay, so for each and every risk, you need to think about the impact, that is the severity and likelihood. So severity is like you are shut down, likelihood is unlikely. So how will you mitigate the risk? You need to find the another supplier, or you need to revise your formulation for that ingredient, and you need to do the purchase insurance. So this is how we will doing the risk analysis in the through this management system. So next is, there is a process approach. Process approach means all the operations which are going on in the industry, they are divided into different processes. Okay, so or you can say the all the departments and all the processes are all the which are all the operations are thought of to be a process. For example, like let's the case of say purchase department. Okay, so there are some inputs to the processes, and then there are some output to the processes. So purchase department, it is a it is let's think about the purchase department. So the input to the purchase department will be the raw material, and output will be the, again output will be the raw material with the specifications which are as per the regulatory requirements or customer requirements. Okay, so your product is output of the purchase department, and this is the input for stores department. Okay, so in this way you can think of all the departments as the processes, or all the, and you can think about all the processes which are going on in the production floor also. And then for each processes you need to think about the inputs and outputs, and for all the inputs and outputs you can think about what are the specific, should be the specifications, or what should be the requirements. And there's then for those specifications you can make the objectives, and then you can think about the like who is going to monitor those specifications or parameters, and when those parameters will be evaluated, and how they will be evaluated. So in this way, if you manage each and every process, okay, so what will happen, whole organizational or whole organization will work effectively. Okay, so next is PDCA cycle. So in this management system, PDCA cycle is at two levels. Okay, one is at organizational level and other is at operational level. Okay, so there are 10 clauses. So four clauses cover the planning phase. Okay, so planning comes under context of the organization, leadership, planning, and support. So we will study about these clauses in the coming slides. And do is operation is the doing part. Then performance evaluation is comes under checking part, and improvement comes under act part. Okay, so PDCA cycle, this is also known as Deming wheels. So when we have PDCA cycle, means there is a continual improvement in the organization. And at the operation level also, PDCA cycle is there. First there is the planning of PRP, traceability, emergency preparedness, hazard analysis, validation, hazard control plan, and then verification planning is there. Then there is the doing part, means implementation of everything, implementation of hazard plan, control of monitoring, measuring, control of product processes and non-conformities. Then there is a verification activities, which are the checking, okay, which form the check part. And there is a updation, which is the act part. So there is a continual improvement at the organizational level and at the operational level. So next comes the clauses. So first there is the scope. Scope ISO 22000 is applicable to all organizations in the food chain. And the 2018 version includes feed producers and animal food producers within the scope. So it is applicable to all organizations in the food chain, means from primary producer till the customer. It is applicable. If you are packaging material manufacturer, or if you are working in, if you have warehouse, or you have retail chain, then ISO 22000 is applicable to all the operations which are part of a food chain. So clause number 2 is about terms and definitions. Okay, so before implementing this ISO 22000 uh, management system, let's try to understand some definitions. Okay, so let's start with the food safety hazard. So what is food safety hazard? This is a biological, chemical, or physical agent in food with the potential to cause an adverse health effect. Okay, so you need to identify food safety hazards at every step. Okay, so biological hazards are like, for example, there are bacteria, viruses. Okay, and then chemical hazards are some intentionally or unintentionally added chemicals. For example, there can be pesticides, insecticides, veterinary drug residues. Okay, physical hazards are the hazards which have the potential to cause physical to cause injury. So next is the control measure. So control measure is the action or activity that is essential to prevent a significant food safety hazard. So what are the significant food safety hazards? Significant food safety hazards are those hazards which are evaluated during the hazard assessment, okay, which have high probability and high severity. Okay, so example of control measure is like pasteurization is a control measure, sterilization is a control measure, sometimes freezing is a control measure. Okay, so these are the some examples of control measure. Then significant food safety hazard. So these are the hazards which are identified through hazard assessment. And since these are significant, so these needs to be controlled by control measures. Then critical control point. So critical control point is a step in the process at which control measure is applied to prevent a significant food safety hazard. Okay, for example, like heat treatment is a critical control point, pasteurization is a critical control point. Okay, and for each critical control point, there should be defined critical limits. It should be monitored. Okay, and then there should be monitoring procedure, and there should be procedures for corrections. Then OPRP. So these are again control measures. These are identified through the hazard analysis, and these are essential to prevent or reduce the hazard to an acceptable level. Okay, so examples are example of OPRPs are, for example, they can be some PRPs like CCPs. CCPs are the control measures which are steps in any operation. Okay, for example, like pasteurization. So pasteurization is a step for pasteurizing the milk. During the pasteurization of the milk, or sterilization is a step during the processing of the milk. Okay, but OPRPs are the, they can be the PRPs, they can be the control measures that are applied in the environment, in the product environment, or they can or OPRP can be the like there can be sequence of control measures, and one can be the OPRP. For example, you have two control measures in your system, like you have filtration in your system, then you have metal detector. Okay, so the filtration can be uh, uh, can act as a OPRP. Okay, so next is action criteria. So measurable or observable specification for monitoring of an operational prerequisite program. And this action criteria is established to assess whether OPRP is under control or not. Then next is your validation. Now validation is obtaining evidence that a control measure will be capable of effectively controlling a significant food safety hazard. Okay, for example, let's take the example, like you have micro pathogens. You have identified pathogens in your product as a significant food safety hazards. Okay, so their likelihood is high, and severity is high. So this is a significant food safety hazard. Now you need to control this food safety hazard. So there is a process called pasteurization. Okay, so you can use pasteurization to control that hazard. Okay, so now you need to validate. So how you will validate? So validation means obtaining evidence. You need to obtain proof that yes, pasteurization is going to kill those pathogens. Okay, so validation, how can you obtain validation? Validation can be obtained through some scientific literature, or you can do some pilot plant study trials at your end, or you can have some research work. Okay, so this is the validation. Okay, so validation is prior to implementation of control measures. So verification is a confirmation through the provision of objective evidence, means proof. Confirmation through the provision of proof. So it is kind of audit. Okay. So verification is done once the process is there. The process is over. Okay. Monitoring is the planned sequence of observations or measurements to evaluate whether the process is operating. So monitoring is always done at when the process is going on. Okay. So this is present assessment. So, you know, validation is applied prior to the activity, monitoring is during the activity, and verification after the activity. So next comes clause number 4. So clause number 4 is about the context of the organization. So clause number 4, so there are four parts of this clause. So 4.1 is about defining the understanding the organization and its context. Okay, so these clauses are sequential in nature. Okay, so first 4.1 clause is about understanding the organization and its context. So what you need to do under this clause, you need to define the external and internal issues. Okay, so external issues can be your cultural issues, social issues, political, regulatory, financial, economic, natural, and competitive issues. Or internal issues can be organizations, activities, products, services, strategic directions, and capabilities. So you can use different methodologies to define these external and internal issues. Like you can use what if method, or you can use the SWOT analysis. Okay, so SWOT analysis, under SWOT analysis, what you can do, you can identify different strengths, weaknesses, opportunities, and threats of your organization. So strengths and weaknesses will be like internal, which you can control, and opportunities and threats are the external issues which cannot be controlled. So let's take the example. Suppose you have say you have a food chain. So your strengths can be like you have novel products, okay, which are nowhere in another food chain, and your strength can be like your people are skilled, okay, and your strengths can be like uh, you have a very good seating capacity, and opportunities can be, since your product is novel, it is unique. So you can launch your product in other countries also, or other states also. Okay, your weakness can be like your raw material is like it is not easily available. You are always running shortage of the raw material. Threats can be like some other food chain is coming with the similar products, or it can be related to the political, or it can be related to regulations also. For example, new regulations are coming related to that product, and you cannot use the same recipe now. Okay, so in this way you need to define the strengths, weaknesses, opportunities, and threats for your organization. You need to define all the internal and external issues, and then you need to uh, uh, find out what are your risk, and what are your opportunities, and for those risk and opportunities you need to make plan. So planning will be done in the planning will be done in the next clause. Clause number 6 will taking care of the planning part. So clause number 4.2 is about interested parties. So here what you need to do, you need to identify what are your interested parties. Okay, what are the parties who can, or the organizations who can impact the food safety of your product, or which can impact your like food safety decision making. Okay, so the interested parties can be your employees, okay, your shareholders, regulators, customers, distributors, suppliers, competitors, sometimes landlord also, depending on the type of your organization. Okay, and for those interested parties you need to define the what are the expectations and what are the needs of the interested parties. And again, you need to identify the risk and opportunities, and then you need to make do the planning in the next clause, in the sixth clause. Okay, so once you know all what are who are your interested parties and what are your internal and external issues, then next is you need to determine the scope of FSMS. Okay, while keeping in mind all these things, while keeping in mind the external, internal issues and interested parties and their requirements, you need to prepare scope, and this scope must be documented. Okay, so scope is you need to determine the boundaries and applicability of FSMS. For example, like baking chocolate chip cookies and sugar cookies for sale to walk-in customers at Noida city center bakery location. So this can be your scope. Here you have identified the location, type of product, and the customers who target customers. Okay, so based on this scope, okay, so you know now what are your different steps for your processing. Okay, you know your flow diagram. Okay, so for that for those processes, okay, now you need to prepare food safety management system. Okay, you need to establish, implement, maintain, update, and continually improve the food safety management system. Okay, so this was all about the clause number 4. Now clause number 5 is about the leadership. Okay, so leadership means now we are talking about the top management. So leader is a person who has a vision. Okay, so he has the vision and he has the ability to take all the people with himself, and he motivates those people to work for that vision. Okay, so here the vision is like food safety. Okay, so how the top management will, or the leader will show its commitment. Okay, so it is through the policy. Okay, and then deciding the organizational rules, responsibilities, and authorities. Okay, so this is the top management's responsibility to frame quality policy. Okay, so the quality policy should be in such a way that it should provide a framework for setting and reviewing FSMS objectives. It should show the commitment to food safety requirements, including statutory and regulatory and customer requirements. It should address the internal and external communication. It should show commitment to continual improvement and ensure food safety competencies. Okay, so this is the duty of top management to devise, to frame food safety policy. So food safety policy, uh, it should be one is like it should be documented, and it should be communicated at all the levels. Okay, so you can use different methods of communication, like you can write your quality policy on the recruitment packs, induction packs, supplier contracts, notice boards. You can display the quality policy on different notice boards in the organization. You can display it on the company website. It can be there on annual staff appraisals, and it should be available all the time, and it should be documented. So next is organizational roles and responsibilities and authorities. So again, this is the top management's responsibility. So they need to show who is responsible for what. So this section requires the organization to define clear roles, responsibilities, and authorities throughout the organization. And top management shall also ensure that all the responsibilities and authorities have been assigned and understood. Okay, then this is the top management's responsibility to appoint food safety team leader. So next, clause number 6 is about planning. Okay, now you know what are your like what risk you have. Like in clause number 4, you have defined all your issues. Okay, you have taken into considerations all the interested parties. Okay, now you have your food safety policy with you. Okay, now you need to plan the things. Okay, so clause number 6.1 is you need to do the planning of planning of the actions to address risk and opportunities that you have defined in clause number 4.1 and 4.2. Okay, so maybe you will plan like uh, your employees are not skilled. You will plan the training of your employees, or you don't have like enough vendors for raw material. You will plan vendor approval program, or vendor program, sourcing of vendors. Okay, so planning is one of the key component of any management system, and this section sets out the framework that asks an organization to analyze itself, to determine the risk and opportunities of its activities, and then how to address them. So here you are going to address those risk and opportunities. Okay, so next is 6.2, objectives. Okay, so next is now FSMS objectives must be established and documented. Now you need to prepare objectives. Okay, so your objectives should be based on clause number 4.1, 4.2, and quality policy clause number 5. Okay, so objectives can be like, for example, you have identified that you don't have like the people in your organization, they don't have um, uh, much know-how about food safety. Okay, so your objective can be like, you are planning to give 12-hour food safety training to your employees per year. Okay, so uh, your objective should be the outcome of the of all the work that you have done in clause number 4.1, 4.2, and then in food safety uh, policy. Okay, so your objectives must be consistent with the food safety policy, and your objectives should be smart. Smart means they should be specific, measurable, actionable, relevant, and most important is they should be time bound. Okay, so that you can review them easily. Okay, and then objectives must include what resources. Okay, so your action plan must include what will be done. Okay, for example, if you are thinking about the updating the skill, so training will be done, but resources will be required. Maybe you need some external expert for training, so you need to identify resources also. So who will be the responsible? Maybe HR will be responsible when actions will be completed. So you need to write down the deadlines, and then how results will be evaluated. Okay, so here again, you can see we are doing the PDC cycle. We are planning the things, doing the things, okay, then acting, and then evaluating, checking. So next is clause number 6.3 is about planning of changes. Okay, so this is planning of changes is necessary so that there are no surprises in your organization. Okay, so whenever you are planning to make any change, okay, so you need to define what you want to change. For example, maybe you want to change, say, raw material, or you want to change some packaging material. Okay, you need to first define, then you need to have a plan. Okay, a task, timeline, responsibility, authorities, budget, resources, needed information. Then you need to engage the people, and then you need to develop a communication plan. You need to inform to the interested parties, suppliers, customers. Okay, maybe you are changing any raw material in your product. Okay, and this is, since this is a novel product, you need to go for product approval to the regulatory authorities. So you need to develop a communication plan for that, and then you need to form a cross functional team to review the plan and to provide feedback related to the plan and associated risks. Okay, you need to train the people about the, maybe for formulation of the product, and then you need to measure the effectiveness. Okay, so this planning of changes is to avoid surprises in your organization. Then clause number 7 is about support. Okay, now you have plan, you have done the planning. For executing the plans, okay, you need support. Okay, so this is the top management's responsibility to provide you support. So under support comes the resources. Okay, under resources comes people, infrastructure, work environment. So we will first we will try to understand these three. So first, resources. Okay, so you need to take into consideration what resources you already have and what resources you need. Okay, so you need to fill the gap between these two. Okay, so you need to think about first the people. So you need to think about the competency of people, whether you have competent people, you have skilled people in your organization. If you don't have, so you can think about sourcing people from outside, hiring experts from outside. So for that person also, you need to take into consideration what will be the responsibility and authority, and then how you are going to measure the competency, and how you are going to evaluate all these things. Okay, so next comes the infrastructure. So under infrastructure comes building, then your equipment, furniture, all these things come under infrastructure. Then comes the work environment. Again, this is the top management's responsibility to provide conducive work environment for the employees. So under environment comes like social environment, then there is the psychological environment and physical environment. Social environment, like there should be non discrimination. It should be, environment should be the calm. Okay, then psychological means it should be stress relieving. Then emotional protection should be there. Then physical, like there should not be heat, there should not be humidity, there should be proper lighting, proper ventilated environment should be there. So all these things come under people in infrastructure and environment. Then comes control of external providers. Okay, so if you are using external providers, okay, or processes, for example, in most of the organizations, pest control is an outsourced process. A testing, analysis of raw material or finished product is a outsourced process. In some industries, cleaning is a outsourced process. Okay, so you need to ensure that all the external processes, services, and product are in line with your food safety management system, and you need to have a procedure for evaluating those processes, for checking the competency of those providers, and doing the continuous monitoring of performance of those providers. So next is competence and awareness. So competence include that the people who are working in your organization, they should be competent, and if they are not competent enough, then there should be provision for a training. Okay, so training of those persons, and then you need to define the methods for the recruitment. Okay, and these people should be aware of the food safety hazards, okay, associated with their work. Okay, for example, if the person is working on a pasteurizer, he must know how to monitor ccp, how to log ccp, how to take care of corrective action and all. All the people should be aware of the food safety policy and objectives. So clause number 7.4 is about communication. Okay, so there is two type of communication which is there in the organization. One is the internal communication and external communication. Okay, so internal communication is within the organization. So internal communication can be about the product, about the packaging material, about the processing, cleaning procedures. Okay, and the external communication can be about your product. Okay, so the people who come under external communication, the organizations who come under external communications are the regulatory bodies are there, then customers are there. Okay, some shareholders can be there, or vendors are there. Okay, so you need to have a plan for communication, both internal and external. So you need to have a plan which will specify like what will be communicated, who is the person responsible who will communicate, when it will be communicated, to whom it will be communicated, and how it will be communicated. Okay, so next, clause number 8 is about operations. Okay, so now what you have done clause number 4. 4 was about the context of the organization, 5 was about leadership, 6 about planning. Okay, and 7 about resources. Okay, so this was the plan of planning part of PDCA cycle. Okay, so we have done all the planning now. Now next comes the doing part. Okay, so operation is the doing part. So it is the time, like it is the time when we have entered the production area. Okay, now we need to implement this clause number 8. So clause number 8, in under clause number 8 there is again a PDCA cycle. Okay, so on the production floor again we will be following PDCA cycle. We will be doing some planning, then doing, then we will be checking the things whether they are running effectively, and on the basis of the check, then we will act. Okay, what things we need to further improve. So let's first see 8.2. So 8.2 is PRP. So 8.2 comes under planning part. Okay, so first we need to do the planning of all PRPs. Okay, so now what are PRPs? PRPs are the prerequisite programs. Okay, so they need to be implemented before implementation of HACCP. Okay, so so PRPs, so as per this management system, We need for PRPs, we need to refer to ISO TS 22002-1 as per our organization. Okay, so there are different requirements which are specified under this technical specification. So one is for food manufacturing, two for catering, three for farming, four for food packaging, and then for feed. So based on your organization, you can take the guidance of this document. Okay, and what are the PRPs? If we think about the layman's language, PRPs are like, they are the things which control the production environment. Okay, if we take the case of a kitchen, like kitchen is a big food industry. So what are the PRPs? What are the PRPs before we start working in the kitchen? So there is a pest control, there should be lighting, should be there, there should be like storage, there should be preventive maintenance plan, so hand washing should be there. Okay, then pest control should be there, approved suppliers should be there. So these are all part of PRPs. So clause number 8.3 is about traceability. Okay, so you need to have a traceability system in your organization. And another requirement is that you need to conduct a mock traceability. Okay, so mock traceability, it will help you in understanding how effectively your traceability system is there, how effectively your trace program is there, and if there are any like shortfalls, you can improve those. So next is emergency preparedness and response. So you need to plan for emergency preparedness and response. So examples of emergency situations could be like natural disasters, or like pandemic, like COVID-19 pandemic, or earthquake, sabotage, blockage of main utilities. Okay, and environmental accidents. So you need to prepare emergency preparedness and response plan. And again, there is a requirement by this standard. You need to conduct mock drill of your emergency plans. Okay, so as to see the effectiveness of your system. Okay, so mock drill will help you in understanding the effectiveness, whether they are effective or not. If they are not effective, then you can again redo this exercise. About hazard control. Okay, so 8.5 is about, it is, these are the 12 steps. Okay, so first 8.2 is about PRPs. You need to implement PRPs in your organization. Then there are the preliminary steps. Under preliminary steps comes, like, you need to prepare a food safety team. Then you need to identify the then you need to define the product. Then you need to identify the intended use. Then you need to prepare flow diagram. You need to do the on-site verification of flow diagram. Okay, then you need to do the hazard identification. Okay, so hazard identification, you need to identify what are the different physical, chemical, and biological hazards at each and every step. Then you need to do the hazard assessment. After doing the hazard assessment, you will get to know what are the significant hazards in your system. Okay, so while doing the hazard analysis, you can think about the severity and what is the likelihood of occurrence. So product of likelihood of occurrence and severity will let you know about the significant hazards. And for all those significant hazards, because these hazards are significant to your process, you need to devise control measures. And then control measures are divided into two parts, CCPs and OPRPs. And then you need to do the validation of your control measures, whether they are effective or not. Like, you need to um, you need to think of some scientific evidence, or you need to do some pilot plant study trials just to check whether these CCPs and OPRPs are effective to control the food safety hazard or not. And then you will prepare a hazard control plan for both CCP and OPRP. And then next is the verification. Okay, so updating the information, specifying the PRPs and hazard control plan. So once you have prepared the hazard control plan, then you need to update the following information. Okay, like characteristics of raw material, ingredients, and product contact materials, characteristics of end products, intended use, and flow diagrams, along with the hazard control plan. and PRPs. So next is control of monitoring and measuring. So what this clause says, you need to identify the devices, okay, which are used for monitoring and measuring, and then you need to set a calibration plan, okay, and then you need to have a proof that these devices have been calibrated. Then verification related to PRPs and hazard control plan. Okay, so you need to do the planning of verification, how you are going to verify all your PRPs, all your CCPs and OPRPs, and your verifications should be in such a way that will enable you to make sure that input to hazard analysis is updated. Okay, PRPs are implemented, OPRPs and CCPs are implemented, and they are effective as hazard levels are within identified acceptable levels. Okay, so very different verification procedures can be there, like calibration is a kind of verification. Okay, next is auditing is a kind of verification. Okay, then analysis, like microbiological analysis is a kind of verification. If after analysis you get to know like yes, pathogens are not there in the product, it means the CCPs were under control or OPRPs were under control. Okay, so you need to plan the verification, and the verification should always be by the other person. It should not be the same person will not be the doing the monitoring and verification. Okay, so verification will be conducted by the other person who is not involved in the monitoring activities. So clause number 8.9 is about the control of product and process non-conformities. Okay, so you need to uh, prepare procedure for control of uh, like non-conformities. Okay, so whenever the CCPs are not in control, then the product must not be released, okay, to the market. And if they and it should be assured like what you are doing with the product, how you are doing the disposition. Okay, if they are reprocessed to ensure that food safety hazard is reduced to an acceptable level. If other use, then it should not jeopardize the food safety in the food chain. And what you are doing, whether you are destroying or disposing it. Okay, and then you need to establish a procedure for product recall. If your non-conforming product reaches the customer, how you are going to recall it, how you are going to withdraw it. And again, there is a requirement like you need to conduct a mock recall. Okay, and then you need to do the reconciliation of your product also, number of products that were dispatched and number of products that you have received. So clause number 9 is about performance evaluation. Okay, so you have done the doing part. Okay, clause number 8 was about the operations doing. Okay, so clause number 9 is performance evaluation. It is the checking part. Okay, so you have done all the things. Okay, you have prepared plan for your all the risk and opportunities. You have prepared plan for all your hazards. Okay, now what you need to do, you need to evaluate the performance. Okay, so how you will do the performance evaluation? So first you need to see how you are monitoring, measuring, and doing the analysis of the things. Okay, so you need to first identify what needs to be monitored, methods of monitoring, when monitoring will be performed, and when results will be analyzed, and how the results will be analyzed. Okay, so evaluation is through the monitoring records. Okay, so internal audit. So internal audit will help you in evaluating the your food safety management system. It will help you in assessing the health of your food safety management system, how well it was implemented. So the organization shall conduct internal audit at plant intervals to provide information on whether the quality management system conforms to organization's own requirement for its FSMS and requirements of this international standard is effectively implemented and maintained. So this thing will be communicated by through the internal audit. So next is through the management review. Okay, so what will be the input to the management review? Follow-up actions from the previous reviews, policy and objectives, results of auditing, including internal supplier and third party audits, then evaluation of legislation and legal requirements to which company subscribes, customer feedback, status of corrective and preventive actions, then changes that could affect FSMS, such as compliance obligations and identifications of risk and opportunities. Okay, so these internal audit and management review, they will help you in analyzing the performance evaluation. Then next comes the improvement. Okay, so this is the act. Okay, now you have all the non-conformities with you. Okay, you have conformities that you have received through internal audits, you have non-conformities that you have received through customer complaints. Okay, so you have non-conformities which you have received through internal monitoring or verification processes. Okay, so now what you need to do first is you need to prepare a procedure for non-conformity. Okay, so here the clause says how you should handle the non-conformity. So react to non-conformities when they occur, correct and control your non-conformities, evaluate the need for corrective action, develop appropriate corrective action, implement appropriate corrective actions, and review the effectiveness of corrective actions and make changes in FSMS. Okay, so first you need to plan, okay, what you are going to do. Then you need to evaluate, okay, check, and then you need to review, update. Okay, so when there is a non-conformity, first you must have the like what correction you will be doing. Correction is the immediate action. Okay, after detecting the non-conformities, then you need to do the then you need to find the corrective action. Okay, so for corrective action you can use um, like you can use uh, root cause analysis, different root cause analysis like 5 whys or fishbone diagram. Okay, and then after after finding the problems, then you can prepare a corrective action, and then you need to implement the corrective action, then you need to review the effectiveness of corrective action, and then you need to make changes in the FSMS and update the FSMS. So then updation of the food safety management system. So 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 you the top management shall ensure that FSMS is continually updated. So how the FSMS will be continually updated? By taking the input from the communication, by taking the input from the suitability, adequacy, and effectiveness of FSMS, output from the analysis of the results of verification, output from the management review. And if you have all these clauses in your system, then there will be continual improvement, because all these clauses form PDCA cycle. So this was all about FSMS implementation in food industry. And now questions are welcome. Thank you. Okay, so there is one question regarding what is the difference between PRP and OPRP. Is my voice audible? Hello, is my voice audible? Okay, thank you. So what is the difference between PRP and OPRP? PRP are the prerequisite programs, okay, which are, they take care of the operational environment. Okay, they take care of the hygiene environment, okay, let me explain in the layman's language. For example, food industry can be thought of as a big kitchen. Okay, so what do you require before starting, before preparing food in the kitchen? Okay, so you require raw material, you require lighting, you require ventilation, good ventilation, you require pest control if there are, say, flies in your kitchen or there are rodents in the kitchen. Okay, so pest control is there. Then you need hand wash station, then you need water for preparing the food, potable water for preparing the food. Okay, so all these things form the PRP. Okay, so the moment when you start preparing your food, when the process comes into play, Okay, then there are OPRPs in the system and CCPs in the system. Okay, so let's take the case. Then and PRP can be OPRP also, like PR. For example, hand washing is a PRP. Okay, and suppose you are working in an industry where you are handling your product with your where the employees are handling the product with the bare hand. Okay, then the hand washing becomes OPRP, because this is important from operation point of view. Okay, because you are touching the product with your hand, so hand washing becomes OPRP. So let's take one another example. Suppose you are making a like cleaning and sanitation. Okay, this is PRP. Okay, but you are working in a food industry or bakery industry where you are producing two types of bread. One is bread, gluten free bread, and another is normal bread. Okay, then in that case, cleaning and sanitation of the equipment will become OPRP, because now cleaning and sanitation is important from operational point of view. If your cleaning and sanitation is not proper, but what can happen? Gluten can go into the bread which is gluten free, which is allergen free. Okay, so is it clear what is difference between PRP and OPRP? And sometimes when there are series of controls in a system, for example, like you have filtration in your system, then you have metal detector in your system, then filtration is again a OPRP. Okay, because you have CCP in your system. So when there are series of controls, then the controls which have like action criteria, for example filtration, which don't have critical limit, then those can be called as OPRP. Is it clear?
So,
Okay,
yes,
thank you. Thank
thank
you.
you. Thank you, ma'am, for your valuable feedback, valuable webinar series you have conducted. Thank you, Ms. Jaya, for
Thank
enlightening
you.
us with your kind words and vast knowledge.
Thank you.
I would now request you to kindly help our attendees. Some of attendees has made their questions
Yes.
regarding this and clearing their doubts regarding today's section.
Okay.
So one by one, I asked the uh, participant to raise their questions to directly to Ms. Jaya.
Okay.
And one 2% have asked as because they have not a good internet connection.
Okay.
Uh, so me, Muhammad Afik
Mm-hmm.
and Mr. Javier Mea Zin Cloud.
Okay.
So it is completely your jurisdiction. They have asked for the uh, total slides
Okay.
of this, and
Mm-hmm.
I have already replied them that it is completely jurisdiction of our guest, honorable guest speaker, Miss Jaya Khanduri,
Yes.
whether she will allow to share these documents. So
Yes, yes,
one,
yes. We can share this presentation.
okay, okay, very,
Okay.
thank you
Yes.
very much, ma'am. And
Yes.
one question from Bainole Oldazo. This, what is the difference between QMS and FSMS? Basic
Yes.
difference.
Yes. So QMS is mainly about the customer requirements, quality requirements, and FSMS is mainly about food safety requirements. Okay, so when we talk about FSMS, then we are mainly focused on food safety. So QMS is applicable to all the industries. Okay, quality management system like ISO 9001, it is applicable to all the industries. It is a general management system. Okay, so in food industry we can use QMS also, but FSMS is only applicable to the food industries because it is mainly focused on the food safety.
So thank you, ma'am. One,
So yes, so all the clauses of FSMS and QMS are same except for clause number 8, operations.
Yes.
So when we,
Mr.
yes,
Iman Elbarados has
okay,
raised a question. I think you have already explained this, but
yes,
he has raised the question that what is the difference between validation and verification?
yes. So validation is like reference to some scientific literature. Okay, so what validation is done before the application of any operation. Okay, for example, you are planning to process milk. Okay, and you want the shelf life of milk, say 6 months. Okay, so 6 months means you want to kill all the bacteria. You need to do the sterilization of the milk. Okay, now from where you will find that this temperature 130 degree Celsius for fraction of seconds is going to destroy all the bacteria. Okay, so you need to find some scientific literature, some regulation which will tell you, yes, this temperature is going to destroy the bacteria. Okay, for example, 72 degrees Celsius for 15 seconds is going to destroy all the pathogens in the milk. Okay, so validation is finding the reference to the scientific literature or some regulations. And if you are not finding any literature anywhere, what you can do, you can do the pilot study at your end. Like you can use that temperature, and then you can produce the milk, and then you test the milk for around, say, 1 month, and you test you do the same procedure for 1 month, and you do the testing of your milk, and then you see whether you are getting the same result every day or not. So the result should be consistent also. Okay, it should be consistent means every day you are getting same number of bacteria, or you are every day you are getting zero pathogens in your milk. It should be consistent, and it should be what we say, accurate. Okay, so this is validation, and validation is always before application of process. And verification means verification is a kind of audit. For example, you have heated your milk to 72 degrees Celsius for 15 seconds. So how you will verify? Your QA officer will go and he will check whether the temperature is 72 degrees Celsius for 15 seconds or not. So this is verification. Verification is a kind of auditing. And verification can be like, validation can be a kind of verification, but at less interval. For example, you can do microbiological analysis of your milk. Okay, and then you can check whether this temperature is okay, whether this temperature is killing the microbes or not. If it is killing the microbes, it means your temperature was okay. Okay, and verification is always after the process. Okay, and then
Oh,
is it clear, or should I give some more examples?
no, no, it is almost clear. I think uh, Mr. Iman has got the answer from you. And
Okay.
now a very interesting question
Mm-hmm.
from Mr. Michel Alsarar.
Okay.
Uh, he has asked a question that, especially for emerging projects in the
Yes.
field of food,
Mm-hmm.
are the policies and documents are supplied from ISO before
No,
implementation?
no. No, ISO is only giving guidelines. The ISO is only giving like requirements.
Yeah,
Okay,
yeah.
so you need to apply those requirements as per your product. Okay.
So one question from Miss Nandini Chari.
Yes.
She has asked that PRP can be GHP.
Yes. Yes.
And
GHP, GMP, all are PRPs, prerequisite
yes,
programs.
and design and layout. Whether design and layout is the PRP.
Yes, design and layout is a PRP. Yes.
And what about that OPRP can be sanitization of food vegetable? Is it correct or not? The
It depends on your organization. For example, like suppose you are suppose sanitization is your control measure. You don't have any other process to control. Let's take an example. You are working in a salad processing industry. Okay, so where what you are doing to control the bacteria in your microbes in your product, you are just sanitizing your product with chlorinated water. Okay, then the chlorine concentration in the water, it becomes OPRP, because you don't have any other control. You are not processing your, you are not further processing your salad. Okay, you are just sanitizing your salad with the chlorinated water, and then you are packing it, and then you are supplying to the customer. Okay, so this is taking so this sanitation is taking care of microbes, it is controlling the microbes. So then the chlorine concentration in your water, it will become the OPRP.
Okay,
Is it
fine.
clear?
I think Miss Nandini has got the answer from you.
Okay.
And now one question from Bainole Oldazoda.
Mm-hmm.
He has asked for more about explanation more about the product withdrawal and
Okay.
product recall. It is a
Okay.
very good question on the
uh,
part of
mm-hmm.
FSMS, the
Yes.
product recall and product withdrawal.
Okay, so this is the requirement of ISO 22000, that you need to have product withdrawal or product recall program. Okay, so your product recall program, like in India, we have FSSAI's guidelines for product recall. So we need to prepare our product recall program as per FSSAI's guidelines. Okay, because while making this procedure, you need to consider the regulatory requirements as well. Okay, and then there are requirements in clause also, like you need to conduct mock recall of your product. Okay, and just to see the efficiency of your mock recall program. Okay, if there are some like shortfalls, you can get to know, and then you can correct it. Okay, so mock recall, while doing the mock recall, you need to know the traceability of your product, forward traceability and backward traceability. Backward traceability is till the origin of the product. You need to know all the whereabouts of your products, okay, of your ingredients. And then till the customer, you need to know the locations where you have supplied your product, and the maybe the name of customers also, or food supply chains, or food chains where you are sending your product. And then you need to reconcile the number of packs or number of lots of your product, whether which you have produced the product, whether you have recalled them back or not, whether you are able to recall them all or not. And then you need to think about the rework and reprocess also. If you have added that product to as a rework in some other batch also, you need to consider that batch also. So is it clear now?
Yes, very much clear, ma'am.
Okay,
And
thank you.
one more question, just a last question, I think, in this.
Yes.
Oh, I think you have already explained this, Mr.
PRP and OPRP, yes, I have already
Yes,
explained.
yes, you have already explained.
Yes.
So this is all from your side for question and enlightening our participants for
Yes.
enlightening by your knowledge and skill. Uh, I thank you, Miss Jaya, for enlightening us, all the participants, and as well as us with your kind words.
Thank you.
Uh, I would like to take a moment time for to tell everyone about the series of webinar, uh, um, the launch by AIS, Alvin Integrated Services. Uh, I again thank you, Miss Jaya,
Thank you, sir.
for
Thank you.
giving you your valuable time and conducting this webinar is a successful and great success manner. I again hats off to you. Uh, Thank you very much from my
Thank you.
side. Thank you very much from my side. And now I would like to say something to our participants. The Alvin integrated service within these 2.5 months have organized nine ISO knowledge sharing webinar uh, for the gaining knowledge and interaction with the participants and hosts and as well as guest, honorable guest speakers. The ISO standard compliance ensures the quality and maintains the requested procedural safety in any trade or any service or any organization. The organization gets benefit from the compliance with the improved system and the procedures that are put in place. In today's competitive market, ISO compliance of product and service provider to gauge and get an edge over the others as they can carry the trust of the particular ISO standard they were certified for. So we are proud to announce our ISO knowledge sharing webinar series with the special emphasis of the benefits of the various ISO standard. We are already conducted in the so many domains, the 8 domains we have covered, and we are in a planning to cover all the possible domains we can cover in the ISO uh, knowledge sharing webinar series. All these webinars will be delivered by the highly experienced faculty or guest speakers, like today, Ms. Jaya Khanduri, where they will be sharing their knowledge and experience to the participants and enlightening us with their knowledge. They will guide the participants on benefits of the organization can get with the improved system and the procedures they are put in place. The candidates or participants will learn from the various ISO standard and help them to stay ahead of the today's competitive world. So our next webinar series is on, I think it is on 19th, the webinar in IT disaster recovery, practice myths and realities by Mr. Rohit Verma. You can see details in our LinkedIn page for the upcoming webinar series. Yes, this is the upcoming webinar in 19th of December. Please register yourself for this webinar. As today's, this is also a free webinar. It will be conducted by Mr. Rohit Burma, who has got the 25 years industry experience and so many credit under his belt. And it will be delivered on 19th from 5 p.m. to 6 p.m. India Standard Time. We hope to see you in our future webinar series as well. I again thank you all the participants for kind support for our initiative and follow us in the LinkedIn page or Alvin Integrated Services. And I would like to request some of the participants, please share your feedback in this chat box, or you can speak over, unmute you yourself here live for your feedback about this webinar over to participants. You can uh, unmute yourself, and I would like to request Mr. Abid Ali Khan to share his feedback.
Okay, good afternoon from Germany. I'm currently in the state of Baden-Württemberg. I am a PhD doctor. I work here in the Furtwangen University here as a staff scientist. It was a very nice webinar. Unfortunately, I came a bit late because of some problem in understanding the time difference between Germany and India. Next time, I hope I will make in time. Was very informative, despite the fact I started from the middle, not from the middle, but a bit late. And I would request the organizers. First of all, I would thank you, Ms. Jaya Khanduri, if I'm pronouncing her name
Yes,
correctly.
yes, yes. Thank you.
Okay, and the organizing committee for all these efforts and for these free webinars. Nothing is for free these days in the world, so everything that is free and as useful as this webinar had been, that's great. God bless you for everything. Second thing, I would give you a small suggestion because I can already see you are already attracting a huge number of participants. So 1 hour may be a little short because everyone has questions. I have a couple of questions. I do not know if I can ask
Yes,
now.
yes, you can ask. You can ask, sir.
Okay,
You can ask.
so my first question from Miss or Mrs. or Dr. Jaya is
Yes,
about calibration. There
yes.
are a number of equipments in the industries as well as in our labs. Some of the some of the calibration we can do ourselves, right? And we have
Yes,
a record. Some of the
yes,
calibrations we cannot do. It has to
yes,
be done by the company service people. They have to come.
yes.
So as per the ISO, how can we satisfy the auditors, internal and external auditors, because the calibration that you do, you can be casual about that, right? Because that's in your hand. You can take the register and write all the calibration in one day and write with back dates. Unfortunately, this is what people in my country, Pakistan, I had seen cases like this. So what would be
Okay.
the impact of that, and how the ISO external and internal auditors do to avoid this or to catch this? Because then this is not good for good scientific and good manufacturing practices, right?
Okay. So calibration can be external or it can be internal. For example, calibration of thermometer can be internal calibration, because how you are doing the calibration of thermometer, you are checking the boiling water temperature and then you are checking the ice slurry temperature. If it is 0 and 100 degree, then it is means your thermometer is working correctly. And like for weighing balances also, you can do the calibration in house. Like you can have the weight with you. The only thing is the thing with which you are doing the calibration, their status should be traceable to national or international standard. Okay, for example, in our case in India, we have the weights with us, and they should be stamped by the government. Okay, so if they are stamped means it is working correctly. Okay, and you see, ISO 22000 we are implementing in our organization not just to impress auditor. Okay, it is just to make our process smooth, just to make ourselves uh, satisfied, just to make food safety, just to implement this food safety effectively. If we are writing if we are not doing the calibration and just writing it, then it is not going to affect auditor, it is going to affect our process, our product. So this is what I think. So there are some people who are making fake documents, but then it is not like they are doing something good. Like it is affecting them only.
Yeah, I totally understand and I totally agree
Yes,
with you. Yeah, thank
yes.
you. So my
Thank
next
you.
question is about quality controls of microbial, because I'm a microbiologist.
Hmm.
So I had been, when I was very young, after my bachelor's, I worked in a company for a few months where
Okay.
the company was producing some injectables, and before that we had to do some random sampling and check for contaminations of
Mm-hmm.
different microbial assays to check how many, if the injectables are sterile or not, if there are any
Okay.
spores. And then the question comes: is there a standard test or a number of standard tests enlisted by ISO? Because I can literally tell you tens of tests that would tell me if the injectable product is sterile or not. But then some of them would be qualitative and some of them would be quantitative, and some of them would
Mm-hmm.
be both qualitative and quantitative. So is there any specific rule that ISO tells me, no, you have to do either ABC, either of these tests, or I can do anything?
You can do any test, and it is based on the, like, in India, what we are doing, how we are managing the microbiological analysis. We are following FSSAI regulations for each and every product. Okay, so as per FSSAI regulations, we have the procedure that we need to follow and the parameters that should be there for the product.
So
So
that's
we are
also recognizable and acceptable
yes,
by ISO.
yes, that is, yes,
That's really
yes.
something I wanted to know. Thank you so much, ma'am.
Okay, thank
And
you.
that these were my two questions. Thank
Okay,
you so
thank
much for
you.
giving me the opportunity to talk to you, interact with you. I
Thank you, sir.
leave the mic to the rest of the participants. Thank you.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, thank you, sir, and thank you, Jaya Madam,
Thank you, sir.
to enlighten your enlightened us with your knowledge, and I would like to ask uh, Madam Snehal to ask any question. Uh, Madam Snehal is there?
Yeah,
Yes, you can ask your question to Miss Jaya.
it's a good seminar and I cover my all doubts.
Okay,
Okay, thank you very much.
okay.
So I would like to request Mr. Rachit Gandhi to give his feedback on this webinars organized by Alvin Integrated Service and conducted by Miss Jaya. Yes, Mr. Rachit, am I audible?
I believe Mr. Rachit is now no longer with us.
No longer
Yeah.
with us. Okay.
Uh, Hello,
Hello.
this is
Hello.
Shubhashish Shuho from Bangladesh.
Yeah. Please speak. Please.
Good evening, sir, and
Good
thank you,
evening.
ma'am. Thank you, ma'am, for your nice presentation. I'm agreed with Abid Ali Khan, sir. There is nothing free nowadays. So I have a question to ask,
Yes,
ma'am.
yes.
Would you please tell would you please tell about regulatory compliance? My question specifically,
Hmm.
is it validation or verification if
Okay.
someone uh, mm, comply his test result in respective of regulatory compliance?
So this is verification.
Okay.
Okay, this is verification because, like, you have some specifications. Okay, and then you are doing the test, and then you are verifying whether your test results are okay or not.
Okay, ma'am. Thank you. I got